Ow. Alright guys, for today's video, we're back underneath the hood of the Cruze, as you can see. So, imagine this situation, if you will, maybe, like let's just say you just had your car at a mechanic to get something done for some reason, because some reason you pay other people to do your work for you, and they tell you that, oh, you got a leaky valve cover gasket, or maybe, you know, you just went to have someone change your oil at one of those quick lube places. Don't recommend that at all. And they say, hey, your valve cover gasket's leaking or whatever, or maybe even you yourself, you know, you just pop the hood, you're doing something, whatever, you look underneath the hood and you see something like this here, and you know the propensity of these engines, these 1.4 engines, to have leaky valve cover gaskets. So you automatically assume, like, man, now I got to change my valve cover gasket yet again, because you probably already changed it at least once in the past. Hold it right there. What you think is a leaky valve cover gasket may actually not be a leaky valve cover gasket. So, assuming that you're going to a shop or whatever, and they tell you, hey, you got a leaky valve cover gasket, and then they're going to say, we can fix it for you for, like, I don't know, I'm making numbers here, I have no idea, like $800, which I would imagine is probably what they would charge. Before you even think about paying anything like that, why don't we do a little bit of an inspection and see if, in fact, our valve cover gasket is actually leaking. Now, if we'll look here on my car, you can see there's obviously oil getting somewhere, starting over here, okay? Now, first things first, the valve cover gasket obviously is between the valve cover and the head right here. You can see it, it's blue. Or at least on my car's blue. I think maybe the stock one may be black, but this one has already been replaced. The valve cover itself had been replaced once, and then I replaced the valve cover gasket again one time with the Felpro. These things do, in fact, have a propensity to leak, and they usually tend to leak on the front side. Okay, well, it's leaking. We have some oil here, around here on the front side. Okay, cool. Well, if we know anything about gravity, thanks to Isaac Newton, things like to drip downward. So let's look. So we have here, it's like, okay, there's a little bit of oil, crusty, funky here. There on the valve cover gasket right here, you can see that it's actually, in fact, wet. Not so much here, okay? There is the RTV you use over top of where the timing cover mates up to the head itself to seal that little crust. We'll see if there's, I mean, there's funk and dirt down there, but not really looking like a whole lot. It looks like maybe here and kind of here it is leaking down maybe a little bit. Like, okay, well, maybe there is a valve cover gasket leak or something. Maybe. Okay, well, let's look up. Well, that's oil up here. That's a lot of oil right there underneath the oil cap. Oil is kind of pooling on here, and look, oil made it up on top of the valve cover. It's like, okay, that's weird. Why would, if something is leaking out of here at a lower point and gravity would be pulling it down, why would it make its way all the way back up here? Okay, well, then you may think, oh, well, that's happening because, you know, maybe the cooling fan right there is kicking on and is blowing the gravity or the oil that is leaking back and up to its, where it's covering all of the valve cover and stuff. It's like, okay, well, that could happen, sure, but let's look up here, because if it's blowing enough oil this way up to cover all back up to here, but not get it on here, right, on the little coil pack cover, because as we can see, the coil pack cover itself is in fact actually clean, right? Well, if the fan is blowing it up, then if we look at the liner here under the hood, we should see splatter somewhere. I don't see any splatter at all. Okay, so maybe the fan isn't in fact actually blowing it up, but we have oil that is getting kind of up on top here a little bit and spreading out, and there's a whole lot right around the oil cap. Let's look around here more. Okay, it looks like it's slight, for the most part, dry. It's definitely dry below the gasket there on the head, but it looks like there's a little bit of oil on top of the the lip there that the gasket mounts into. Okay, there's a lot right here around the oil cap, and then it goes here and it starts to kind of dissipate out as it made its way all the way over to here, and there's nothing else over here just aside from like some dust collected there. Okay, weird. Let's check underneath the coil cover. Okay, let's pop this off if you have it. Okay, there's a little bit on the bottom of the coil cover, and there's also some, looks like right here at the first attachment point right here to where it locks onto the valve cover to hold the cap down. Or there's some oil there, and there's more oil here. Okay, well, there's a whole lot right around this oil filler cap. Let's investigate a little bit further. Let's take the oil filler cap out. Okay, and let's look at that. Okay, oh look, there's a gasket on there. And look at the front side of this, the front side of the oil cap, what was pointing forward, and then right around that rim that would sit right here on top of the valve cover, that is covered in oil. Okay, there's a gasket here. That gasket, much like a gasket on your oil filter housing right here, the oil filter housing gasket, that gets replaced every single time you do an oil change. Now also think, every single time you do an oil change, this gets unscrewed, filled up with oil, and then this gets put back in. Look at the oil all over this thing. So what it looks like to me is that what could appear to someone to be a leaky valve cover gasket is actually a leaky oil filler cap gasket. So what we're going to do for this one is we are going to replace it. Now I have a Dorman oil filler cap O-ring. This was way too much. This was like 15 bucks at O'Reilly's. It's like 8 bucks on Rockauto, but I didn't want to wait for Rockauto to ship. And at the time of filming this, you could just get, O'Reilly's actually didn't really have any oil filler caps, the correct ones, but you could get them off of Amazon, except this is the time when the internet is actually legitimate broken and you can't really buy anything. So I got this, and we're going to replace that. Now I have links for, I guess, this, and I'll link to just like random oil caps in the description. Go with it as you will. Decide what you want to do, but I got this instead of getting a new oil cap because just couldn't get it at the time of this. So I won't be able to just pop this off real quick with one hand. So let me set up my tripod real quick and just show you how to do it. Okay, one other step that I kind of left out when I was talking about going through this and reviewing was, when did you start noticing the leak? Did it happen after you did an oil change or got your oil changed? Okay, that could be another thing to help you come up with an idea of what may be causing this. But part number again. So it's just O-ring. Get it out of the package. Then you have your O-ring here, your old one. Just take a pick it out. Oh, try and get it on camera. Sometimes these thick ass O-rings can be a bit of an issue to just try and pry out. If you want, you can just kind of cut them sometimes. There we go, just like that. Old one out, okay. Uh-oh. God damn it, this tripod. I caught you. You guys are falling. Okay. Gonna clean this cap up. So that bottom side of where it is touches, where the cap actually touches that thing, should not be covered in oil, because the gasket should be preventing the oil from coming out. Okay. Let's take a new O-ring. Just kind of put it in the slot. And work yourself around in a circle to push it in. That's it. There you go. New gasket. And then we'll just reinsert that into the valve cover after I clean this up a little bit. Now be careful when you're cleaning this up, if you do this, to not try and get any shit down inside the valve cover itself. I'm just going to get the stuff here at the top real quick. Now that is a much tighter seal than what it was. So now all I'm going to do is just going to take some brake clean. I'm going to clean all this off here, and I will monitor it. But I'm pretty sure that that was the cause of what looks like to be my valve cover gasket leak. So if for whatever reason, as I monitor this in the future, it does do this again, and that is a new gasket, well, then you get a video on how to replace the valve cover gasket. But other than that, for right now, there you go. Maybe if you are diagnosed with one thing, it could in fact actually be another thing. And since something is so common, I think a lot of people a lot of times are very set to running to whatever the common solution fix would be without actually maybe looking into it a little bit further. But that's all I got for you today, guys. Oh, it's leaking a little bit past these two O-rings here on the dipstick. Oh well, that's where a little bit of that's coming from. But that's all I got for today. Okay, same fix for that. You could get a new dipstick, or you could get new O-rings for that. Slide those off, slide the new ones all the way on, pop that back in, and it should prevent this here. So it seems to be a combination of the two here, because you got to think about this. This car is now 2011, 14, almost 15 years old. Yeah, 15 years old now. I got it in 2010. That's probably just the original oil filler cap and original dipstick. So things get worn out with age. Ask me, I know. I get up out of bed slower every morning. But all right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Before you go running to just go replacing random parts, do a full diagnosis and make sure what you're doing is actually needed. But all right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you next time. Later.